Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about why is it that the globalists and their flunkies and their stooges and their gobblers and their hangers-on, why do they reserve a special vitriolic hatred and fear of white people? According to the globalists, neo-Nazis are everywhere, fascists are everywhere, the far right, white supremacy is such a huge threat, Nazis are everywhere, but I never get to see or meet these Nazis. They're nowhere to be found. And so they have to invent these things, and you've got the Jussie Smollett thing of, this is MAGA country. And so they have to invent it because there just isn't any of it around. And pull cords on a garage door become a noose put there by neo-Nazis and the far right. But this is, of course, absolute nonsense. But why is it? Why are we seeing the globalists in particular? Now, remember, these are the people wanting to impose ideological government on the West, and they've pretty much got control. They want to get rid of representative democracy. They want to get rid of the rule of law. They just want to have vague ideological laws so they can arbitrarily do whatever they want. They can choose not to arrest the black guy who kills somebody, but they can choose to arrest and throw in prison the white guy that says that he thinks the election wasn't above board, or the white guy that says he doesn't agree with transgender or something like that. You're going to throw them in prison. And to do those sorts of things, you need arbitrary law. You can't have tightly codified law. And also you can't have independent courts, because if you go to an independent court, the judge is going to look at ideologically applied law and go, this is nonsense, I'm throwing it out. And so you can't have independent courts. So these are the things you can't have in independent media, because media will hold the government to account. And if you don't have representative democracy or the rule of law or due legal process, you can't have the media talking about it. So they control all these things, and this is all part of imposing the globalist project. So again, given all the power they have, all the institutions they control, how they can rewrite history to say that all white people are evil, and the only people who ever did slavery were white people, whereas slavery had been going on for 5,000 plus years before white people even showed up. No, it doesn't matter. We are going to demonize white people and only white people. So it's a very concerted anti-white effort. Race and gender quotas in hiring, race and gender quotas in access to college and university and so on. White people are being viciously discriminated against in just about every walk of life, being written out of historical dramas and all sorts of things now. So we've got the absurdity where half the people in 15th century England, they've just invented this, just pulled it out of their ass, are suddenly black and African. And the insanity knows no bounds. But let's come back. Why is it that white people, there's this special hatred and fear and loathing of just white people? Because it doesn't make any sense. White people are law-abiding, they're tax-paying, they're upstanding pillars of the community. They work hard. They, in just about every respect, every invention you see is by white people. In just about every respect, white people are, on the whole, model citizens. So you'd think white people would be the most desirable people in the world that you would want. They are the perfect citizen. Give me more of those hard-working, tax-paying white folks. Gee whiz, I want some more of them, you'd say as a government, but in fact it's the opposite. White people are everywhere, but we want to get rid of these fucking white fucking supremacist fucking Nazis. They're all Hitler. Every one of them's Hitler. And Nazis are everywhere. Oh, what's that under my desk here? Oh, God damn it, Hitler's just come in. Hey, Hitler, fuck off. I'm trying to do a fucking video if you don't know. So let's look at the voting patterns, and that'll sort of give us some sort of idea as to why the globalists hate. Now, remember, they're dismantling representative democracy. They just install brown and black people into government in Britain, for example, without so much as an election or a buy your leave from the voters. I mean, you can imagine this could have happened. This once great empire, 100 years ago, it was a great empire. Now it's nothing more than a little a little sort of flunky boy, a little fetch and carry flunky boy for the globalists. That's all it is now. But let's have a look at the voting patterns now. If we look at the key things of globalization, such as the climate agenda, mass migration, and equity programs. So those are the big sort of three. I mean, we can subset it from there, but those are the big three. And or the changing the law, the losing the independence of the courts and due legal process. But these are the areas that the globalists are pushing now. If you look at mass migration and that sort of stuff, and assisted, the very corrupt international NGO structure and the United Nations, which is moving vast numbers of people around, you look at that. That's something that the majority of brown and black people will vote for. Also, any professional victim group, LGBTQ, they'll all vote for that. Trans, they'll vote for that because that somehow in their mind somehow represents equity. They couldn't explain how, but if the people at the very bottom are equal, then I must be equal as well. Therefore, so they've got it's very ideological Marxist sort of take on things. But the brown and black people will vote for mass migration. So, and they will reliably vote for the party that most strenuously and strongly represents the globalist project. So they can count on their vote. If you look at the victim groups of lesbians and trans, all that sort of thing, they also will reliably vote for ideological law, arbitrary law, affirmative action, equity, equal outcomes, non-meritorious. They're absolutely terrified of anything that looks or resembles or might be merit. So again, a very big part of the globalist project. So that the wider equity program, that sort of. So they'll vote for that, and they'll vote for the part. Any politician gets up, I believe in merit and hard work and so on. They're not going to get the vote of those people, but the globalist people will get that vote. So that's it. Pretty much, I mean, native type people voting again. They the equity and that sort of thing. They love the racism with victims would deserve compensation, slavery, that sort of thing. They'll vote for the globalist project, not because they understand or agree with it, or they even can perceive the ramifications, but they figure that there's some handouts in this, there's some hustle in this. Also, when there's in order to create social dysfunction and to eradicate social trust in Western societies, which the globalists definitely are doing, that's one of their high priorities. Then things like having riots in the streets, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, lawlessness, people get arrested for violent crimes and they put them straight back on the street without even bail or detention or anything like that. So this all undermines social trust. It undermines the fabric of law, and it creates this arbitrary law based on a victim status. Again, very much part of the globalist thing, not because they believe in it. The globalists believe in it. They don't. It's just a useful tool to undermine social cohesion and social trust. So they do it only for that. That's the only reason they do it. And the black people in these groups will be useless and just an irritation to the globalists once the globalists have imposed their globalist ideological project. Then they won't need those people anymore. And a bit like the Soviet Russians after 1917, they progressively started to kill off people who they relied on to get them into power because they no longer needed them. Same with the Chinese Communist Pol Pot. I mean, the same with any of those. So pretty much every group has got a reason to vote for, every minority group's got a reason to vote for the globalists. They perceive there's something in it for them. Trans people, abortion people, that's a pro-abortion people, that's what. So every group they can really count on to get a vote, but it's white people who in the majority won't vote for the globalist project. And the least likely to vote for the global, or people that represent the globalist project and tout the globalist project type policies, the least likely to vote them is white people. So, they can count on between 70 and 85% voting in pretty much every other group, the globalists or the globalist candidates. But they can't count on only 1 in 4 straight white males votes for the globalist candidates, and half of them are college kids. And by the time they get to 35, they don't vote for the globalisation thing anymore either. White women, it's about 40 to 45% will vote for the globalist project. But again, the majority of those are college kids. As soon as white women get older, unless they're the lesbian activists, that's the thing. As soon as they get older and they've got responsibility and children and husbands and all that sort of bills to pay, jobs, and then they start to move away from the globalist thing as well. So really, white people are the group that's holding out, and not so much holding out on the global. Now, white people are a little bit different because they say, okay, show us your policies. Not every single white person, by the way, but there's enough white people out there that will vote on the basis of policies. Well, what are you doing for my life? How are you going to make my life better? Not what are you going to hand out? What are you going to give me? Not how I'm oppressed by evil, racist Nazis. And not that. I want to, how are you going to make my life better? And this is something that why is representative democracy breaking down? Why is there so much lawlessness? Why do you not arrest the Antifa guys? But as soon as someone stands outside an abortion clinic, there's 100 police suddenly arrive. Why do you put 50 FBI agents on a bullshit, nothing racist thing, supposed alleged racist thing, whereas Black Lives Matter can go and burn down buildings and you do nothing? White people are asking those questions, and why are you doing that? Why is my electricity bill gone up 3 times faster, 4 times faster than wages? And why are you claiming the world's going to come to an end based on some bullshit computer modeling? Fine, if it's coming to an end, then develop technology to solve the problem, but don't put up my electricity bill fucking 4, 5, 6 times, over the last couple of years, and so I can barely fucking afford. So the white people are asking these. So they're looking at white people that we can't win them over. There is nothing in the globalist project that is going to win these people over. It's the reverse. So they are the only holdouts. We can bullshit our way through with every other minority group, the brown and the black people. We can promise mass migration. Hey, you can bring your wider family. You can bring your whole fucking village out to the west. What about that? Yeah, I'll vote for globalization. But white people as a holdout, and again, white men in particular, and so. They're the ones that have to be demonized because they simply won't vote for or go along with globalization. Now, the globalists could say, well, we're going to sell it to you. We're going to tell you why globalization is so fucking fantastic. But they can't do that. Globalization is bullshit. All they're selling is you're going to eat the bugs and you'll own nothing and be happy. Now, if you're a peasant from Africa, some mud hut village in Africa, and someone's saying you will never have to worry about food again. You may have a shitty little house, but you will always, you're never going to have to work or hardly work, and everything will be given to you in some sort of a socialist paradise type thing. You go, hey, that's not too bad. That's better than what the fuck I've got in my basket case shithole country. But to white people, no, that's no good. That's bullshit. That's no good for me. What are you? You're offering me nothing. You're building nothing. You're creating nothing. All you're doing is destroying. You're destroying representative democracy. You're destroying the rule of law. You're destroying the independence of the courts. You're destroying the independence of the media. There is not an area of our lives in the West that isn't being destroyed by the globalists, and white people don't like it and aren't voting for it. It's only the radicalized women who are radicalized through the university system. The only reason they're getting to 40-45% of women is because of that. If those women had gone out to work straight away and had not gone through the university system, then they would also be not on board. But even then, there's a big swag of middle voters, swing voters, is often known, that can change their vote at the drop of a hat based on various things. If you look at a lot of people are getting annoyed with the mass migration, the uncontrolled mass migration of illiterate third world peasants into not only the United States, but also to Europe. It's not quite as bad in Australia, but it's bad enough. They've just lowered the bar for the standard of immigrant. So you still get the illiterate peasants here. They're just not arriving legally. They're being waved in by our government. So that's why they hate white people. They can't convince white people. They have nothing to offer white people. And white people are not voting for globalization like all the other groups are, or most of the other groups are. Again, there's a swing voter sort of cluster in that. But so that's it. That's why, because they know they can't win over white. Because they can't win them over, they've got to then demonize them. They're all Nazis. They're all Hitler, far right. And that's what it's all about. So that's why. You've been a Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.